thanks for joining us on this edition of Daily News. This week, we are dedicating our segments to crucial decisions made in the United States Supreme Court. It has come to our attention that not many high school students know about the Marshall Court cases. Today's segment will focus on the Fletcher versus Peck case. Joining us today is a special guest who is passionate about teaching her high school students regarding United States history. Let's welcome Miss Bowman.
Hi Hollis, thank you for having me on the show today. Fletcher and Peck is one of my favorite Marshall Court cases. It all started in 1795 with the Yazoo land fraud, where legislators were involved with a bribe decision to sell land for an unfair price.
So interesting. Please tell us more.
All right, here's how it went down. In 1795, the Georgia state legislature passed a land grant awarding territory to 4 companies. The following year, however, the legislature voided the law and declared all rights and claims under it to be invalid. In 1800, John Peck acquired land that was part of the original legislative grant. 3 years later, he sold the land to Robert Fletcher, claiming that the past sales of the land had been legitimate. Fletcher argued that since the original sale of the land had been declared invalid, and Peck had no legal right to sell the land, and thus committed a breach of contract. This led to the issue that went all the way to the Supreme Court to be known as the Fletcher versus Peck case. This ran from March 1st, 1809 to February 15th, 1810.
Wow, thank you, Ms. Bowman, for all that great information. Now let's look at a clip from the original Fletcher versus Peck court case.
Fletcher versus Peck.
Yeah!
Robert Fletcher, the plaintiff. John Peck, the respondent.
The new Georgia legislature repealed the grant, which means the land you sold me was not legally yours to sell. You promised me through a deed that all sales before mine were legal. I now know this is not true. Liar!
Hold up. Let me just clarify. The reason the new Georgia legislature repealed the grant was because the old Georgia legislature was investing in the land. Once the citizens heard about this, they were furious. They voted out almost the entire legislature and then voted in a new legislator.
I'm innocent here. How dare you call yourself innocent? You took land from the Indians and that was taken under Georgia's control. Then you sold them to they were sold to 4 different companies.
I just bought land from a previous owner and then sold it to you.
What is illegal about that? Your acts and so many other acts were unjust and unfair.
Order in the court. This court is adjourned.
Wow, things in the courtroom can get really heated. Back to the courtroom where Fletcher and Peck are awaiting their final court decision.
After careful deliberation, the court rules. Peck was an innocent third party who was involved in various valid contracts. He paid for land from the original shareholder and then sold the land to Fletcher. Next, the sale between Peck and Fletcher was valid because it was a contract. They also said the new Georgia legislature could not reverse the grant because it violated the contract clause.
For those who don't know, the contract clause in the Constitution states, and I quote, that no state shall pass any law impairing the obligation of contracts, basically saying that states cannot interfere with private contracts. For this reason, the decision went in favor of Peck.
Wow, that was some great footage from the Fletcher versus Peck case.
Yes, it was. It was almost like we were there explaining the whole thing.
From those clips, we can see that the court ruled that the Georgia legislature was unconstitutional. It has been said that this court decision was a big obstacle for the state government to oversee businesses. This case helped protect property rights and allowed for the Supreme Court to invalidate a state action that conflicts with the Constitution. Ms. Bowman, could you tell us why this court case was so significant?
This court case helped set a strong importance for legal contracts. The role of the government was also addressed during this case. It was concluded that the contract clause would be enforced not only in the government, but also in private businesses. This case is significant in the fact that it discussed a lot about whether or not the rights should be protected based on if they were clearly stated in the Constitution or if they were just implied by the Constitution.
Thank you so much, Ms. Bowman, for coming on the show and talking about some U.S. history, specifically about the Fletcher versus Peck case. Tune in next week to see another segment on another Marshall Court case. Thanks for watching.